Hello, Meoni here, and I'm pleased to finally be able to give you my brief and concise video guide to Omega Deltascape Savage 1. This is Altaroite, this great big snake dude. I promised this a while back, but due to a lot of things it has taken me this long to find a decent static group to do it with. So sit tight as I show you the very basics of how to deal with the mechanics in O1S and ultimately get a very easy kill under your belt. Firstly, it's important to mark sections of the platform, north, south, east and west, signified here with A, B, C and D. Get each of your party members to choose a position, either northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west and northwest. Your tanks will be at the north marker. This is primarily for Levin Bolt, which is an ability we'll come to shortly. Just assign these marks for now. Firstly, the boss will be tanked outwards facing A, and shortly into the fight the first thing you will see is a cast on the boss of an ability called Twin Bolt. This will affect both tanks, who should stack and use a personal cooldown to mitigate as much damage as possible. This will need to be healed through by your healers, and if one of the tanks doesn't stack, then the other tank will likely die. The next thing that will happen is the boss will disappear and then reappear in the centre of the room facing southwards. This is the beginning of the second move to be aware of, known as the classical elements. This puts fireballs around the centre of the room that eventually get knocked backwards to the outsides of the room. The floor will turn to ice shortly after the classical elements begins casting. When the ability Downburst is cast, the tornado will throw you all backwards from your current position along with these fireballs. You'll need to then push forwards once to avoid the fireballs and not slide too much further. Once you do so, you are all marked with a purple Levin Bolt debuff. Press towards your assigned spot on the platform as the fireballs explode. This is why we assigned the compass positions of each member earlier. The Levin Bolts shouldn't stack and everyone will only take moderate damage that can be healed up now. After the Levin Bolts have faded, make your way back in towards the centre, to make it easier for your healers, who now have to deal with Roar. Roar is a large-scale AoE that's unavoidable and must be healed through. Shortly after you've had everyone healed up, the boss will once again use the Twin Bolt attack. This again needs each tank to stack with each other on the north marker and use a small cooldown to reduce the amount of damage they take. Almost immediately after this second Twin Bolt, the boss will begin to cast an ability called Clamp. Clamp will push back anyone in front of the boss at this point. For this reason, tanks must move to the side of the boss immediately to not get pushed off. Once Clamp ends, a new series of fireballs will spawn in a room, this time around the outside of a room first and then the inside. You will all get Levin Bolt markers on your characters again. Wait until the fireballs on the sides of a room fade from explosion and then run to your assigned location again to spread the AoEs. Immediately after the fireballs explode in the centre, move back to the middle of the room and prepare to stack on a new marked player. This player needs to come to the centre of the platform and stand still to allow people to stack on them. After a short gap in mechanics, the boss will once again cast Twin Bolt. Tanks stack and use another CD to survive this and mitigate as much damage as possible. The boss will now begin to use his Roar AoE, however keeping people maximum health at this point is not actually important, just keep them alive. He will then cast a second Roar. The reason for this is he casts Charmides. Charmides reduces everyone's health to 1 hit point. This is why keeping people maximum health before this is rather pointless. Instead, save an AoE healing CD such as Swift Cast Medica 2 after Charmides is cast to keep your tanks at a decent level of health. This is then followed up by a Roar AoE that you will need to heal through. At this point, however, you should be close to or at full health from using your healing CD after Charmides. The boss now rearranges himself and teleports to the centre of the platform again. This time, when he uses the classical elements ability, he will spawn fireballs around the outside of a room. One of the directions will not actually have a ball. In this example, we notice it's the B marker or east. So we all go and stack on this marker. The boss will push us back like usual, only we won't be damaged in this safe zone and simply push forwards to move back into the centre of the room. 11 bolt markers go out again, and we simply push the direction towards our usual assigned spots to avoid stacking damage. The boss will now put out new fireballs. This time, however, we are all waiting to see where the boss teleports to. The boss will teleport to a part of the platform, and we need to quickly ensure that we are either side of his head in melee range of the boss to avoid not only an inwards facing clamp pushback, but also the fireballs. Once he pushes you back, simply press forwards once to slide on the ice to the safe area at the side of his head you chose before. This way you will avoid the incoming clamp ability. Immediately after the clamp pushback, one person will be marked with a stack icon. You must all go and stack on this person to soak the damage. After this is over, your tanks should get the boss back to A and face him outwards of the platform as soon as possible. There's a bit of respite here for your healers to heal up without any incoming mechanics for a few seconds. Next up, the boss will use Charmides again. Use a healing CD to heal people up after this is cast. Focus specifically on keeping your tanks topped up here, as he follows up with another twin bolt, which they again must soak together and use a CD to reduce damage from. More balls of fire will be spawned. This time the pattern will be out then in, as in outside will be where you go first, and then in once the center balls explode. 11 bolt will be put on you once again here, and you need to be split to avoid the damage stacking. Clamp will then be cast, so make sure your tanks have a boss faced away from people at this point, and move in time to avoid being pushed off. A double cast of Raw will follow to heal the group through, and then another classical elements, much like in the first phase of the fight. He will then continue to cast Raw, Twin Bolt, and Clamp, and the same classical elements patterns you should be used to up until now. This is rinse and repeat until the boss's health reduces to 0. It's a very straightforward fight once you experience it, and it can on face value look much harder than it actually is. I will actually upload an unedited kill of this as well if you want to take a look at that. A link will be up after I upload it for you later. Hopefully this video was helpful in getting you closer to your kill if you're still on the edge about this fight. It's late into the expansion, I know, for a guide like this on such a fight, but time has been rather unfriendly with making a static for me up until now, so hopefully it's still of some use to people. If you like this video, please consider liking it or disliking it, and then I can gauge the reaction accordingly. If you like more content, 4.1 or otherwise, I have lots of Final Fantasy XIV videos going up daily on the channel. Thank you kindly for watching, and I'll see you next time.